Before Peter Dutton was the leader of the opposition, the steely-eyed political figure who divides opinions like Vegemite on toast, he was just a kid from Brisbane. Yep, beneath the polished suits and the occasional death stare that could probably silence a room full of rowdy senators, Peter Craig Dutton had a pretty normal, if not occasionally hilarious, Aussie upbringing. Born and raised in Brisbane, Dutton was part of a large family. You know, one of those homes where if you didn't grab the Weet-Bix fast enough, you were going hungry. His parents, hardworking and salt-of-the-earth types, ran a small business, a building company to be exact. It's safe to say that Peter's first exposure to leadership didn't come from the classroom or a debate club. It came from trying to manage his siblings during family dinners without sparking a mashed potato war. He went to the Queensland Police Academy straight out of school, but let's not jump ahead. Little Peter was apparently a quiet but serious student, which is exactly the kind of thing teachers say about kids who are either plotting world domination or just really into their stamp collection. But he wasn't all stone faces and structure. Even as a teen, Peter had a bit of mischief about him. One infamous tale is that he once tried to rig the school vending machine with a bent 20-cent coin. This MacGyver-esque attempt to score free twisties failed miserably and led to a stern talking to from the school janitor, who reportedly told him, "Stick to politics, mate." Prophetic words in hindsight. But Dutton wasn't just trying to cheat snack technology. As a teen, he reportedly held strong opinions even then. While most kids his age were worrying about acne and algebra, Peter was fiercely debating the merits of economic liberalism. At house parties, over the sound of cold chisel. Imagine trying to do a keg stand while a teenage Dutton yells about fiscal responsibility. At 18, while some of his peers were heading to uni to discover overpriced coffee and existential dread, Dutton chose a different path. He joined the Queensland Police. That's right, from the schoolyard to the beat, Peter swapped textbooks for handcuffs and began his journey into the gritty world of law enforcement. And yes, there's something mildly hilarious about imagining a young Dutton with a massive 90s cop mustache, issuing parking tickets like he was cracking down on an international syndicate. In his time as a police officer, he worked in the drug squad, which is basically like the Aussie version of being in an action film, except with more paperwork and fewer slow-motion explosions. His work was serious, high-stakes, and often dangerous. But even then, his colleagues said he had a calm demeanor and an eye for detail. Though rumor has it he once busted a guy for possession of 2 meat pies and no sauce. A heinous crime in Queensland, to be fair. His police work gave him a glimpse into the rougher side of Australian life, and it's something he's often referred back to in his political career. But somewhere in between dodging dodgy dealers and writing reports, Dutton got bitten by the political bug. Maybe it was the bureaucracy. Maybe it was the suits. Maybe he just really liked arguing. Either way, in the late 90s he decided to run for office. And by run, we mean with the confidence of a man who once stared down a bikie gang without blinking. His first campaign was, well, let's say enthusiastic. His opponents underestimated him. After all, how threatening could a baby-faced cop from Brisbane be? Very, as it turned out. He was elected to Parliament at the ripe old age of 30. That's an age when most of us are still trying to figure out if we're grown-ups yet, and Peter was out there doing battle in Canberra. The bloke had barely finished paying off his first couch and was already being handed ministerial responsibilities. His early days in Parliament were marked by his stoic demeanor and love for policies that would make a libertarian weep tears of joy. Dutton was not one to pander. He was more likely to walk into a room, make a controversial statement, and walk out with zero regrets, kind of like your uncle at Christmas lunch after 3 beers. And yet, even as his career grew, Peter Dutton maintained some of his down-to-earth roots. There's a story, possibly apocryphal but we're keeping it for the vibe, that he once got lost in the Parliament House parking lot and called security on himself. "There's a suspicious man wandering near the ministerial car bays," he said. "Sir, that's a mirror," replied the guard. His seriousness became something of a trademark. But those close to him say he's actually got a dry, deadpan sense of humor. Like, if a dad joke wore a suit and spoke in monotone, kind of funny. Once, when asked if he had any hobbies outside politics, he replied, "Yes. Not telling the media my hobbies." Classic Dutton. And then there's his awkward relationship with pop culture. When asked once what his favorite music was, he replied with, "Anything with a good beat." Which is what people say when they've never once listened to a Spotify playlist. Rumor has it he thought Gangnam Style was a diplomatic initiative. He also allegedly called TikTok, that Chinese YouTube thing with dancing. But credit where it's due, Dutton is nothing if not consistent. From his early life in Brisbane through his time in the police, and onto the parliament floor, he stayed true to his no-nonsense, straight-shooting approach. Even if that approach sometimes feels like being told off by a strict substitute teacher who doesn't believe in fun. Despite his reputation as a tough guy in politics, those who know him personally often mention his loyalty, focus, and surprising ability to make people laugh, quietly, of course, like a stealthy chuckle behind closed doors. He's not the kind of guy to do karaoke, but if he did, it would be Eye of the Tiger, and he'd sing it like it was a national anthem. Peter Dutton's early life might not be full of tabloid scandal or Hollywood-style drama, but it paints the picture of a man shaped by discipline, duty, and the quiet confidence of someone who's never needed to shout to be heard. Whether you love him or loathe him, his path from Brisbane school kid to national political leader is a uniquely Australian story, with just the right amount of accidental vending machine crimes.